source. Peaky Blinders, Tommy Shelby's Habits of Command.
Interesting title.
Yeah. And our mission, really, is to pull out the actual usable stuff. How does someone like that command respect, build that strong aura?
Right.
Come on in, let's talk about it. Come on in, let's talk about it. Make it make sense.
Okay, let's think about Tommy Shelby for a second. You know, from Peaky Blinders.
Oh, yeah, quite the character.
Right, that quiet intensity he has, the way he just seems miles ahead of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're a fan or not, you kind of feel that power, that presence he has.
Definitely.
And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. We've got this source, Peaky Blinders, Tommy Shelby's Habits of Command.
Interesting title.
Yeah. And our mission, really, is to pull out the actual usable stuff. How does someone like that command respect, build that strong aura?
Right. Beyond just the TV drama aspect.
Exactly. Forget the gang stuff for a minute. We're looking for those psychological strategies you can actually use, you know, to boost your own confidence, maybe be a bit more assertive.
Sort of like a shortcut to understand those principles.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's get into it.
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? From a behavioral angle, how carefully they built that character to project influence. And this source, it seems like it does a decent job isolating these behaviors. They're dramatized, obviously,
Yeah.
but they do have parallels in, you know, how we see each other, how we interact in the real world.
Absolutely. So let's start with something you can, like, almost see. The way he moves. The source talks about his slow and relaxed movements. It looks cool, sure, but there's more to it, isn't there? The source says it conveys authority. Why is that?
Well, it's not just about looking calm. That deliberate pace, it sends a subconscious signal.
Okay.
It tells others you're processing things carefully, you're not easily flustered, and that tends to build a sense of trust, maybe stability in the interaction.
Oh, okay.
Think about the opposite, right? Rushed movements, they can kind of give away anxiety or that feeling of being totally overwhelmed.
Yeah, I can see that.
So Tommy's slowness, it isn't laziness. It's more like a nonverbal way of saying, I'm in control here.
So if you sometimes feel a bit, I don't know, scattered, especially when things get tense, just consciously slowing down your body, that could actually help project calm, but maybe feel it too.
Precisely. It connects to managing your own state, really.
Yeah.
If you intentionally control your physical tempo, it can be like an anchor.
An anchor, okay.
Yeah, it helps you feel more present, more in charge, and that in turn shapes how other people see you.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's talk about the eyes. Tommy's got that stare, doesn't he?
Oh, definitely.
The source calls it mastering eye contact, especially when things get confrontational. But it also warns, don't overdo it.
Yeah, it's a tricky balance.
Seems like it.
Well, think about the psychology of just looking at someone. Sustained eye contact, it shows you're engaged, you're confident, you're willing to, meet them head on.
Right.
But staring constantly without breaking, that could easily feel aggressive or like you're just trying to intimidate them.
So he picks too much.
Exactly. The source is right to say you need to be, judicious about it. Use it wisely.
So it's about using it strategically then, like holding it to show confidence, show you're paying attention,
Mm-hmm.
but also knowing when to look away for a second to kind of lower the temperature maybe, or just not make the other person feel weird.
That's it, exactly. You need that awareness.
So how can, someone listening become more aware of their own eye contact? Because you don't always notice what you're doing.
That's a really good question. Maybe start by just noticing. In your next few chats, pay a little attention. How much eye contact are you making? How does the other person seem to react?
Like, do they look engaged or uncomfortable?
Yeah. Are you maybe holding it too long or looking away too much? Just becoming conscious of it's the first step, really. Then you can start making small adjustments.
Okay. Now, a huge part of Tommy's whole thing is how unflappable he is.
Right, under pressure.
Yeah. The source calls it non-reactivity under pressure. He just seems immune to being rattled. What's the power in that? Why does that work?
Well, what's really interesting there is how that controlled response. It signals this really deep internal confidence.
Ah, okay.
When someone doesn't immediately, jump or react emotionally when things get stressful or challenging,
Mm-hmm.
it suggests they have this strong sense of self-assurance. They're not easily thrown off balance. It kind of says, okay, I've thought about this and I'm not threatened.
So it's not about, like, having no emotion,
No, no, not at all.
but about having that little bit of space, that pause between whatever happens and how you react.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
And the source kind of hints this is something you can actually develop. It's a skill.
Yes, absolutely. It's about cultivating that ability to process things, the information coming in, and your own emotional response before you react outwardly.
Right.
And that comes with practice, really. Practice managing stress, building up your own resilience. It's about choosing your response instead of just being, driven by the heat of the moment.
Choosing your response. I like that. Okay, let's shift to how he talks, the words he uses.
Ah, the verbal side.
Yeah, the source points out his conviction in speech. His language is very assertive, and they give that specific example using I will instead of I hope or I want. That feels really key.
Oh, it's incredibly powerful, that choice of words. I will, it projects certainty, doesn't it? A firm commitment that something is going to happen.
Yeah, it does.
Whereas I hope or I want, well, they can sound a bit tentative, maybe lacking authority.
Right, less sure.
So if you think about how you want to come across, adopting more decisive language like that in your own communication, it can significantly boost your impact. It conveys much more confidence in what you're saying.
It's such a small wording change, but yeah, it really speaks volumes about how certain you are. Now, another thing Tommy does when he talks is sometimes saying nothing at all.
The pauses.
Exactly. The source calls it the effective use of pauses, and it can be quite dramatic sometimes.
It is, and it's very effective. Think about it in a conversation, a well-timed pause. It can really draw attention.
To what you just said or what you're about to say.
Both, yeah. The source is right. It creates this little moment of anticipation. It lets people process the information, makes your point more memorable, and it also gives you, the speaker, a moment. Collect your thoughts. Stay in control of the conversation's flow.
So it's not always about filling every single bit of silence. Sometimes the silence itself does the work.
Precisely. It carries weight.
How could someone listening start maybe experimenting with that without feeling awkward?
Maybe just try small pauses.
Yeah.
Even just a second, maybe 2 seconds, after you make a key point in a discussion.
Okay.
And just notice what happens. See how it shifts the dynamic. Does it seem to give your words a bit more emphasis? Does the other person maybe lean in a bit, listen more closely? It's worth playing with.
Interesting. Okay, the source also mentions something from carrot stick motivation. Basically understanding what makes other people tick their desires, their fears. How does that fit into commanding respect?
Well, understanding what motivates someone else gives you a kind of framework, really, for communicating effectively, for negotiating. If you know what someone values or what they're trying to avoid, you can then tailor your approach, make it more persuasive, more influential.
So it's about seeing things from their side.
Yeah, partly.
Yeah.
Seeing the world from their perspective and then aligning how you interact with their needs or maybe their concerns.
Okay.
Think about basic human drives, People want recognition or security or to get ahead, or they fear losing something or failing.
Sure.
Identifying those underlying motivators in a specific situation, it can really boost your ability to connect with people and, well, influence them.
So it requires being observant, maybe empathetic, but also a bit strategic in how you use that insight.
Exactly. It's a combination.
Okay, so finally, the source really stresses that internal confidence is key. And it suggests it's something you can actually build up. It's not just something you're born with.
Yes, and that feels like the foundation for all of this, doesn't it?
It really does.
Because look, while all these outward habits, the slow movements, the eye contact, the pauses, they can be really powerful tools. Their effectiveness just goes way up when they come from a genuine place. A real sense of self-assurance.
Right, like just trying to mimic Tommy Shelby without working on that inner confidence, it might just seem fake.
Exactly. It could come across as inauthentic or even try hard. So the source's point about confidence being cultivatable is really crucial.
That you can work on it.
Yes. It means these aren't just fixed traits. They're skills, they're mindsets that you can actively develop over time.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. We've looked at these habits of command, kind of inspired by Tommy Shelby. The power of moving deliberately, that strategic eye contact, the strength you get from not reacting instantly.
A non-reactivity, yeah.
The conviction in your speech, using pauses effectively, and understanding what drives people.
The motivation.
And running through all of that is this core idea, building up that genuine internal confidence.
Absolutely. That's the bedrock.
So here's maybe something for you listening to think about. Which one of these ideas, these habits, kind of resonates most with you right now?
Good question.
Is there maybe one small change, one little experiment you could try in your conversations this week? See what impact it has?
Just pick one thing to focus on.
Yeah. What might you learn about your own presence, how others perceive you, just by trying one of these things? Something to mull over.
Definitely food for thought.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in.